one of the things that this coronavirus outbreak has meant is that many of us are changing the way we live, and many of us are changing the way we work too. One person who's had to do that is John Bullock from Solutions Focus, and John joins us on BBC Radio Stoke this morning. John, good morning. Thanks for coming on today. What is it that you usually do?
Good morning. So we run it's learning and development consultancy, really. So we work with large organisations, helping them with leadership development, but more importantly, changing behaviour. It's all based in psychology and neurology, and often, of course, our our delivery is face to face on site, which obviously we're not allowed to do at the moment. So we've radically had to change how we get that message out and help people be more productive and feel more motivated day to day.
This sounds like, in some respects, while you've had to change what you do at the moment, having people working from home and having this enforced change on us is exactly the kind of thing where you could step in. This could be manna from heaven for you, couldn't it?
Yeah, well, we're certainly trying. The thing is with change is there's 5 key stages of change that people go through, and we don't always know we're in it or what stage we're at. So we've got the change that actually happens. Then there's the shock of the change that takes over. Then we actually go into a little bit of denial about the actual impact of the change. Then we go on a long journey downwards where our mood gets low, or we get frustrated or angry or sad or upset, and until we get to a point of realization of what's actually happening. And that's where we then need some help to be able to start to explore the new ways of the world and how we get up to a point that we call acceptance on that journey. And that's what we're really trying to help people do at the moment, whether it's businesses or whether it's key workers in the NHS that are struggling with motivation because their tired and energy is low, or people that are furloughed at the moment and they've lost routine and they've got no energy and they've got no kind of oomph to go and do anything. That's really what we're trying to do and help people with at the moment.
What motivates you then? You sound full of energy this morning, John.
The psychology behind it, what drives our emotion is the way we think, okay? And from a psychological point, our thinking drives our emotion, the way we talk to ourselves. So I can do this, I can't do this. One is helpful, one is hindering. From a neurology point of view, in our brains, we actually think from a electrochemical point of view, and it's in that order. So the electric comes first, that's the spark, if you like, in the neuron, and then the chemical comes after. So in other words, if you want to change the way you feel, you have to change the way you think to be able to do that. However, to do that, it takes a little bit of time, and it takes a little bit of repetition and a few particular tools and techniques, but it's very, very doable. So in order to change thinking and feeling habits sustainably, we have to start changing the self-talk, changing the input, changing the way that we're giving our self-instructions to get a permanent change. And there's a quite key point there as well, because it's easy to change actions short-term, but it's not very easy to change actions permanently and get different results. And unfortunately, because of the changes that we're now going through in industry and in the country, things probably won't go back to normal after the lockdown. It will be a new normal, which means we might have to change our habits and the way we think and feel permanently about certain things. And that's what we're really trying to help people do. The way I get my energy is make sure I'm talking to myself on a regular basis, and also understanding where I am in that change curve, because obviously this happened to me as well. We went from a business of going out every single day all over the world to actually staying in the office every single day and having to change the offer to our clients that we're doing. So I've been through this curve as well. I went through shock. I went into a bit of denial. I said things like, well, there's no way that they can close businesses. The economy will stop. There's no way that they can close the schools. And then they did, of course. And I went through the shock and down through the realization. So these emotions, they happen to all of us. And it's just about noticing where we are and then doing something about it to change those habits going forward.
It sounds horribly hackneyed and cliched, but is part of this seeing these difficulties as opportunities, as a chance to try something different or new?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you mentioned there. It sounds a bit cliche. What you've just said is absolutely correct. However, what we don't want to forget is, and this is one of the sessions we're actually running at the moment, is it's okay not to be okay for a little while. And a lot of people, if you read a lot of books about this kind of thing, what it'll say is, think successful, be successful, think happy, be happy. That's absolutely true, but we have to go through this transition, and we have to go through a little bit of pain of not being okay in order to get out the other end. So what we do a lot of the time is we try and skip over the pain and get straight to how do we fix it? And that's fine, and we've got all the answers for that. We can help you with that, of course. But we need to realise it's okay not to be okay, and what does that really mean for people, and how can we help people get to that point of realisation and not feel bad or guilty or worried or beating themselves up because they should be doing better or feeling better at the moment. The amount of people I'm talking to at the moment, whether it's furloughed people that are saying, I know I should be doing things proactively, but I just don't have the energy. I can't be bothered. And that's okay. It's okay if we recognise it and then do something with it. And again, in the NHS, people that are, all of our key workers and supermarkets and NHS and everybody else that's keeping the country running for us and doing a fantastic job at it, they're feeling tired and demotivated and frustrated and angry and that's okay as well. But let's notice it, and then let's try and help you and get to that point of realisation. So yes, you're absolutely right, but let's not skip over the bit that actually this is causing a bit of pain, and what can we do about that as well?
What would you say to someone listening this morning, John, who maybe has maybe even not even got out of bed yet because there's no reason, there's no need to, they don't need to go to work, they're not caring for anyone, they probably won't speak to anyone today, there's no point getting up, you might as well stay in bed. What would you say to them?
Yeah. Okay, so what happens if we have a major shift in our routine? If that person particularly was used to get up and go to work and all that type of stuff, and now they kind of don't want to get out of bed, they've got no DIY or anything else to do that's interesting them. What happens, unfortunately, is when your routine is taken away and we're not actually completing tasks. As humans, we like to be completers. We like to, there's a great hierarchy of needs by a gentleman called Maslow. It's very, very important. But we have 5 motivational needs, and one of those needs is esteem, to build self-esteem. And if we don't complete tasks, we struggle to build self-esteem. Now, even if that task is as small as making your bed, there's a great clip on YouTube if anybody wants it. It's called Make Your Bed. It's an ex-Navy SEAL talking about if you want to change the world, make your bed. It's a task completed, which will lead to many tasks completed in the day. So my advice to those people that are struggling to get out of bed at the moment is, first of all, we're putting on some free seminars specifically about motivating people that are furloughed, and also maintaining positivity and motivation for key workers. So you're welcome to come on to that, and I'm sure I can give you the link for that before we go. But the other advice I would give to them is, you might not feel like it, but get up and make your bed. And that's your first task completed for the day. And then continue through the day to little tasks completed. Have a shower, go out, walk around the garden, all that type of stuff. So just start to add those little tasks up, and it will start to generate more emotion and energy, because energy promotes energy, and you'll start to feel better.
Does lethargy promote lethargy then?
Absolutely. To be honest, you can get into a very, very big cycle. Sorry, I missed that bit.
No. It's just interesting that this idea of a cycle, that this hierarchy of needs is an interesting point, because I was talking about this with my wife a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, it was the weekend. I know they feel the same, don't they? But it was the weekend. And we were like, do you know what? We've got loads to do. We've got a whole list of tasks, as you put it. But we just can't be bothered. And she said, well, let's think about this. It's because our physiological needs, this was going back when you couldn't buy bread and you couldn't buy milk and all that stuff. You couldn't buy new roll. We're not meeting those. We're not sure we're safe. And those we love aren't around us. And it's like really, really difficult in those circumstances to feel motivated to do anything, isn't it?
100%. And just to clarify for your listeners, that hierarchy of needs, as you've rightly said, your bottom need, and it's great to talk to somebody that's actually using this. The bottom need is your physiological need. That is food, water, things like that. The next need up is your security needs. And now that means physical security and mental security. So that means, maybe you're worried about whether your job's going to be there when you get back after furlough. That's physical security. But your mental security has also changed, as in, this is the picture of the world I normally know versus this is the picture of the world now. It actually forms something called lack of gestalt. It means lack of balance or lack of equilibrium in the mind. And when your mental security needs are wobbly, the internal picture in your mind does not match the outside world. When those two bottom needs start to wobble, it is very, very difficult to move to the top three needs. Now, the top three needs are your social needs. Now, quite interesting, I've recently been doing seminars, and I've put things on Facebook and LinkedIn because the term social distancing is incorrect. It should be physical distancing. With the technology that we currently have to most people's fingertips, we should be able to still be as sociable using video calls and audio calls and things like this. Social distancing is not the case. It should be physical distancing. We should be trying to be more sociable now than ever because the face-to-face interaction has been taken away. And 70% of our communication is body language. So that video call is very, very important. But the social aspect, a lot has been taken away because we've been banging on about social distancing instead of physical distancing. And then finally you get the esteem, which is obviously affected by all the below. And the top one is something that we call self-actualization. And at the moment, very few people are being able to self-actualize. What that means is the happiest you can be because of the other four needs that are underneath. So you're absolutely right. You're right. The basic needs, Maslow actually called them your anti-demotivational needs. And what he meant by that was those two things, food, water, and a house doesn't get you motivated every morning. But without them, you struggle then to be motivated up the triangle. So what we need to do is keep people being sociable and help them understand how they can complete tasks and motivate themselves during the day in these difficult times.
John, it's been fascinating. We must get you back at some point because it's been so interesting. Where can people find out about some of these free webinars and this information that you're imparting?
Absolutely. We've got some free webinars, some specifically for key workers, some specifically for furloughed people and so on. There's even a section where you can tell us if there's a particular subject you'd like us to cover. We'll do that for you as well. If you go to www.solution-focused.co.uk, so that again, www.solution-focused.co.uk, and click on online development. You'll find everything you need right there and all the access to the webinars.
John, great to talk to you. Thanks for coming on. We'll get you on again soon if we can.